Alright, we are all set up and ready to go. So hello everyone and welcome back to Satisfactory. So last we left off, we were working on our thermal propulsion factory. And we were making good progress. We had finished motors and just had a few steps left. So that is pretty good. Also, we had this box of reinforced iron plates, which I guess I'll just yoink those and destroy the box. I don't really know what to do with them, but they exist now. So hopefully that will prevent me from running out of reinforced iron plates in the near future. And we're going to try to make that stockpile last as long as possible by taking from the depot first. Alright, so what is our next step here? We need to make, looks like, bolted frames. So we need to take screws and our reinforced iron plates and make some modular frames out of them. So that's convenient. So these were the reinforced iron plates right over here. And the screws were right over here, actually, apparently. Alright, the screws went into the reinforced iron plates. So that's actually very convenient. Alright, so we just need to get the, what was it, the 746 belt. So that's this belt over here. And it's been stable enough that I don't need that anymore to confirm it. So we're just gonna pop a smart splitter on that. Say left any center overflow. And now we can drag our belt out. So there we go, and it's got plenty of screws on it. That's how you know that it's working. And now we just have to sort of zigzag this over to the same sort of area the other screw belt went. So it can actually just get up onto this same foundation and just move alongside the rest of them. So put a floor hole there. And a conveyor lift, and a conveyor lift, and then that attaches up to that. Alright, now this goes around that corner, and then we need to fill in a little bit of this space, and we just keep going. And now we're just about in the right area, so we can set up our assemblers. So I think it makes the most sense to just have the next row of assemblers on the same sort of floor as this current one. So that'll involve the reinforced iron plates just going across a little bit, and the screws going across a little bit. And then we'll have our modular frames. Now, is that the only thing that the reinforced iron plates do? No, we also make smart plating. So we're going to need to split them into what looks like 40 and 30, both of which should be quite easy. Alright, so let's just finish off that row and get our blueprint here. So we need 6 assemblers for this job, slightly underclocked. And we don't need that much space here, so we can just put it in like that, and then have the next one connected up. Wait, that's backwards. That's backwards, so you go away, and then get placed back in, but facing a direction where the output here can go to the input here. So you are in, and you go in, and that is that. So now these get set to bolted frames. Or no, not bolted iron plates. Bolted frames. Then we paste this across. And, oh, I need to actually set the rates. So, the number of modular frames we have going out is 26.667. We've got 6 of them. Divided by 6 is 4.4 repeating. So then we paste that along all of these. And we're good to go. So, next up, we just pop a splitter in there. And this whole thing needs 40 reinforced iron plates, and the other one needs 30. So let's get that splitting done. It is just a... Let's see, I think we need a smart splitter into a regular splitter, which loops back into a merger. And then forwards. So that is the 30. Wait, actually, do I want to just have the 40 be the one that's split off? Yeah, that would be easier, and it's the one that's here. So we won't have to do anything complicated there. So that part is all correct, but then we just need the splitter to be on this side. And 20 goes back. And 40 goes forwards. Then we have a Mark 1 belt go across to there. Right, any center overflow, left overflow. And then that goes in like that. And that then loops around to there. Alright, so that is that. Now we just have to connect these belts up, get the power lines connected, and then bring the screws in. So the screws are down here. Oh, I left a dismantle crate. We can just get rid of that, that's fine. It's because I dismantled something while in the Dimensional Depot first mode. Alright, so this is a lot of screws, so we're going to need those to be, I think Mark IV belts would have been fine. But it's going to be a lot anyways. So this is 124 screws each, which means that these just barely have to be Mark IIIs. So we set all those up, then we set all these, and then we have to get the belts themselves, like so. And then that just goes along and in. And boom, screws supplied. Alright, I need to go to inventory first mode just so I can clear some space in my inventory. I normally have like a row or two of free space, but right now I don't because it's filled with reinforced iron plates. Alright, so this is going now. And we just need to add the sink. And have some space for that. the shop, the sink, and we can put it in facing sideways. And then we just get a smart splitter. Okay, that splitter is facing the wrong way. And now it's not a smart splitter, so there we go. Gosh, I don't know what I'm doing today. Things are all messed up. So right is overflow. The other two sides are any. And that is modular frames done. Alright. Next step is heavy encased frames, which is modular frames plus steel pipes plus encased industrial beams plus concrete. So the modular frames are here. The steel pipes and concrete, I believe, are just over here somewhere. Yeah, so that's the steel pipe, and this is the concrete, which I believe this is the system designed to split that. So we have 73.33 concrete there. And then the encased industrial beams, I think they're over here somewhere, just like way over here. I think it's that production line there. And that is correct. Alright, so let's start by taking these encased industrial beams over to the general direction of where we're going. So these go over this way. And it's only 33 point something of them. So we do not exactly need a fast belt. Alright, how do we want to organize this? It's going to need to go further up to meet up with the modular frames at some point. So we might as well do that early, just so that we can see where we're going. I also need to set this splitter, that's important. Right any, center overflow. So now we have encased industrial beams going on this belt. And actually, I think we can stay at this level for a little bit, because it's pretty clear. So we can just have this go along. And just keep on going. And then if we go up here, those are the motors, here's the modular frame. So yeah, up here, and that is a good enough spot for getting them in the right general vicinity. So let's just expand that out a little bit for the future. Set you up, give you a lift there. Now we have to get through these various floors. There we go. Yeah, we don't. If we ever want to expand these floors, we don't want to have to rebuild all of the lifts that go through them. So we just expand them a little bit preemptively. Most of this stuff, though, is very far away and unlikely to be expanded over in this direction, so I think we should be fine just to go from here direct up to this level. Alright, so this comes all the way down to here and in. Alright, the encased industrial beams are making their way along now, and they will be up and here. So, modular frames obviously right here, and they left a dismantle crate for some reason. But now I have 2 empty spots in my inventory, so that should stop happening. Alright, anyways, so we have modular frames, we have encased industrial beams, we need our concrete and our steel pipes. And those are both over here. So let's get those 2 moving together so that we can drag them both at once. The concrete split is here, and unfortunately we can't go directly up because there's stuff there. So we're gonna need to do something creative here, which is we're gonna have to go over this other concrete belt like that. Now that we're over in this area, we can safely go up a level. So let's get that going. And this, I guess, can just go down to that level, because this is already elevated. Okay, I built this facing the wrong way. So Mark II belt down to there. Mark II belt goes in. And now we have this up on that floor. Then one more floor to be on the same level as the steel pipes. So we just go like that. And up. And out. Alright, so that is that. Now we grab the steel pipes, which is exactly 120 of. So these come around this way. Okay, not that far around that way though. So they can just come around like to here maybe. Yeah, and then go forwards from there. Now we've got these 2 things lined up together, and that belt there is the reinforced iron plates one. So this can go over, and I think we are going to have to... We might have to do something with that, because now it's going to be going straight through this level. Although it's ultimately okay. So now we just have to get you, and I guess just have them go like there and there, so that they're all organized nicely. And then these 2 come down like that and like that. Alright, now these belts go, and you go into there, and you go around and into there. And that is all 3 brought in. Alright. So now we just have to get them up this tiny little extra bit. And set up the actual production line. So you go up there, and you go up there. Alright, so this probably needs to be facing that way. Let's just have all of these facing that way, and those 2 need to be Mark IIs. Alright, so heavy encased frames. That is a manufacturer recipe, which is going to be a bit more annoying. We only need 4 manufacturers, which is not that many though. So let's bring plenty of space like that. And then which of these is going to be a manufacturer recipe? computers, I think that's only 3 input manufacturers. Supercomputers are definitely going to be a 4 input manufacturers. Yeah, okay, so we just get 2 of these guys in. And set them up like that. And like that. Alright, almost had enough space for these. Just need like 1 more row. And give you another row just for good measure so that you're lined up better. Right, then we go up here and we set these to heavy encased frames. And this, we need 10 outputs total. So this is 10 divided by 4, which is 2.5. And apparently we have no power here, which feels wrong because we're literally right by those guys, but I guess we need to bring power up. There we go. Alright, and now we just have to put our inputs into these. So first off, we have the modular frames, which are somewhat inconveniently going to have to wrap around their own sink. So there we go. And then while these are doing complicated maneuvers, I guess we can just send them around to this side. So these get a splitter, which is going to connect them all up. And there we go. Modular frames in. Then we can take one of the remaining things and put it into here. So let's have that be you, I guess. So you can go like that, and then go into there and there. Alright, so that's the steel pipes apparently. Then we go up to the next floor, and these two are going to need to get up to that floor, so let's bring this out. And there we go. Get the outputs, and then connect these across. So those two go away. You go up there. You go up there. And then you can go just straight across into this one, which is like that, and splits to there and there. Alright, straight mode doesn't work, curve mode does. Well, let's do curve mode, why not? And then we take this one, which is the encased industrial beams, and they can go all the way around. And then into this side. Alright, please don't randomly get nudged out of the way at the last minute. You go into there. Alright, so that is that. Should be everything connected up. And then we just have to take these and connect them up to a sink as well. So let's get the extra space for that, and we're almost done with this line. We just need to make fused frames, and those I believe go into the final product. Alright, so we get our sink and a smart splitter. So that goes across. The sink gets powered up. I think we have a sink somewhere else that I forgot to power up. Hang on. Did I remember to put... No, I never powered that sink on. Alright, let's make sure that that happens. Not that this sink will be taking all that many modular frames, but it'll be some. Alright, so that is going. These never quite got to the point where they fully backlogged, which is nice. And these are just filling up. It's going to take a minute, because it's 64 seconds for a cycle, and we're feeding them more or less exactly. Alright, so that is going. Alright, heavy encased frames. I hear the sound of this one starting to go, which means that the rest of them should be shortly following after. There we go. Alright, so that is going now. And now these two just need to start. They're further away from the input belts, so it'll take them a little bit longer. And any second now. Yep, so these are up to 19 out of 22 concrete and 9 out of 10 encased industrial beams. Alright, and the concrete is now good, and that's going, and then this one somehow started going a while ago. So we are all... This is all running, and we're probably going to see some outputs. Yes, this is up to that, and out go the heavy modular frames. Cool. So now we have outputs on this. Let's put in a throughput monitor, which can go there, and that'll just make sure that it's actually the correct number, which is 10. And in the meantime, the modular frame production seems to be going as planned. There's a whole lot of screws, but it is receiving as many as it needs. And heavy modular frame production should be good to go. This is showing 95%. I don't know why that would be. I hope I haven't made a mistake here. Yeah, this one is showing yellow. You are short on concrete. Alright, did I put a... Yes, I did put a Mark 1 belt in there somewhere. So that has to be Mark 2. These ones should be fine at Mark 1 because they're going to be half of a Mark 2. But there we go. So that should fix that problem. And it'll take a little bit for them to get all sorted out, but they should be good in a cycle or two. Okay, the modular frames are still just going strong over this way, because they did have quite a bit of backlog. So eventually either the modular frames in these will run out, or the modular frames in those will fill up. These do look mostly empty. So I guess this period of backlogging is almost over. And on the other hand, these ones are almost completely filled. So I don't want that. I want these to... I want the belts to have like space on them and not be completely saturated. So we're going to do that. And now this should drain the rest of the way. And that is all good. Alright. So that's modular frames, that's heavy modular frames. Next up is fused modular frames, which is just 3 inputs, right? Fused modular frames. We've got heavy modular frames, aluminum casings, and nitrogen gas. So we've got the heavy modular frames here. The nitrogen gas is somewhere, probably, over there. And then I believe the aluminum casings will be over this way and down a bunch of levels. Yeah, so this is the aluminum casings here. Should be 500 of them. Sorry about that. Alright, so these are not going at 100%, it looks like. I see. So these need to... They just barely are taking 62.5 each, which means that they need to be Mark IIs in order to compensate for that. Okay, what's going on in here? Okay. I don't know why. I was convinced that some of these were Mark IIIs, but they weren't. Alright, so that is now resolved. And these will be producing at that slightly faster rate, which should cause this to get up the rest of the way to 500, as opposed to the 490 or so that it's at right now. So we're just going to give that a second to see if anything catastrophic happens with it. We are going to be draining more aluminum ingots, which theoretically could cause problems, because this system is a bit weird. But it doesn't look like we're having any issues, at least at the moment, with the train input. So we're just going to hope that that continues to be the case. Alright, so if this goes along, now it's hitting 500 per minute. So we need this to go up a lot. So let's bring it over this way. And I guess just up there. And so that goes and connects across. And the heavy modular frames are over this way, so that's the way we're going to go. And please say we have free space up here. No, we've got some screws on those belts, but we have free space if we just go over a little bit to like that general vicinity. And then there are no nearby floors. So we can just go up and over a little bit. Alright, so that will go a little ways over there. And 500 is a Mark V belt. So we just go like that. And now this just goes in. Alright, so now we have to set up this smart splitter, left, any, center, overflow. There we go. Now we've got this going up. And just have a couple more floors over this way for us to get through. So let's go over there. And and get aligned up. So that goes forwards, and then it has to go up through that floor, and through this floor, and finally through this floor. So we get a floor hole there, and then we go floor hole there. So then that goes down through there, and down through there. And then finally, one more floor. There we go. Now this goes across and connects up. So that is the aluminum casings brought into the right general vicinity. We've got our casings there. We've got our heavy modular frames there. Let's call these right any center overflow, just preemptively. And then we're going to need our nitrogen gas, which we're going to need 250 of it. Alright, so the nitrogen gas goes down from all the way up there, so we should just be able to bring, like, this top floor over and then not have to deal with all the rest of that stuff. So this goes all the way over. And then all the way over this way. And then a little bit over this way. And now we just grab a pipe. And we only need one pipe for this. We're going to need a second pipe for the other one. But for this first, we have two things that need nitrogen gases, and each of them need one pipe basically to themselves. Neither of them need a full pipe, but the two of them combined need more than one pipe. So it basically winds up being the same. Alright. So that is that pipe all the way across. And it is now filling up with nitrogen. So let's set up our blenders for fused modular frames. We're going to need quite a lot of them. So I think we will make this a blueprint. So we need 2 solid inputs and 1 fluid input. And I guess the fluid input can just go on the top floor, and then the solid inputs can go on a bottom floor. So we get a Blueprint Designer Mark II. We have a basic wall which goes up 2 levels and then fills in all of this area. Now, can we fit 2 blenders in here? Yeah, we should be able to. Should be pretty easy, even. Alright, so this goes, let's give it a decent chunk of space out the back, but most of the space out the front. So those 2 go in. Let's get a power line over in this vicinity because we're going to need to, it's going to be helpful to fly around the edges. So there we go, that's as far as it'll go, and it should be far enough. Alright, so we need these 2 to go like that, and these 2 to go like that. So this gets set to the recipe, and the aluminum casings are going to be a lot. The rest of them shouldn't be. So aluminum casings are going to be the right side, whereas heavy modular frames are going to be the left side. So those go down, and then we have our nitrogen pipe, which just casually goes across like that, and then supplies the nitrogen in. Alright, so that's the input sorted. Now just the quality of life things. We get the power lines connected up, we get the output connected up, so we have that, and this whole thing is going to produce very small numbers of fused modular frames. So let's use Mark 1 belts, and then expand these out a little bit so that they can auto-connect across. And I believe the fluid pipes should be set up to do the same. Alright, so as far as recipes and ratios go, we're going to need 8 of these to make 10. So that's going to be 10 divided by 8 is 1.25. There we go. Now we just have to get these set up. So the right ones are the faster ones. Yes. So we'll do those first. So they need their outputs to come down like this, and then get split in like this. Boom and boom. And then we just need to do the heavy modular frames, which come around the back and are going to be all in Mark 1 belts. So then we get a splitter. Let's have this splitter be on this side, just in case that helps a little bit. And then we go there, and connect across like that. Okay, having that be that close might actually cause some problems because it won't be as easy to upgrade if I need to. So let's actually, yeah, let's move this so it's just like one tick further back so that we can see the interior of that belt for future projects. And so this is 2 solid, 1 fluid blender. So save that, clear it, and dismantle it. And we've left a dismantle crate. Get rid of all that. Alright, but now we should just be able to place all these down. And we're going to need 4 of them. So let's get them set up. Make sure they are aligned with the rest of the foundations. And they're going to be clipping with that power line, which I don't care about. So in you go. And then you go in. Oh, these don't work quite right because that is right on the edge of where it could possibly go. Alright, I guess we're just going to have to leave a bit of space then. I could fix the blueprint, but I don't really want to do that. Also, it seems like the auto-connecting on the belts isn't auto-connecting. Alright, so we have 4. We just need 2 more blueprints. So we get you in, and we're going to actually need to build the floor under this to get the spacing right. You don't want to have foundations that are spaced wrong and not aligned on the grid. So these all go out like that. And let's get power in so that we can fly in the general area. So those two get upgraded. And then we get this like that. So you can then go in. That's 3, and then we get one more, which we will put over this side, I think. Just to keep the spacing somewhat even on either side. So that all goes out. And just one more build here. And that goes out like that, and in. Wait, is that? No, that's wrong. That's very wrong. Alright, that was not aligned properly because I was looking at this side. Now it's just rotated the wrong way. Thank you, very cool. Alright, so we can do that and get the auto-snapping correct. Then this goes out to, like, there. And it all lines up perfectly, I think. Yeah, there we go. So that goes in. And we have all this. Now, did I get this last bit connected across properly? I did not. So we can pop that in. Alright, now we get power connected across. So you and you. Okay, then we just have to get the inputs. So, the fluid is the easiest one. You just go up and into that pipe anywhere. It's only 250 nitrogen gas, so it shouldn't have any problems just filling through the entire setup. You go up there and in. So that is that. And we will even be able to let it fill up preemptively as we build the other things. Alright, so then we have these two. This rightmost one is the aluminum casings, which is this one here. So we need to get them split. So we have 500 aluminum casings. Each of these is 62.5, which means that this here will need to be a Mark III belt, just barely. Another one of those annoying is like literally 5 per minute away from being a Mark II. So we do that, and then we have to fill out these ones as well. So you get a Mark III and a Mark III. And then we just have this splitter here, which I don't think it needs to be a Mark V. It probably should be a Mark IV or even a Mark III, but who knows? It's easier to just have it be something that you know will work. And that is aluminum casings in. So finally, unfortunately the one that's going to take the longest to fill through because it's on the slower belts are the heavy modular frames. So we got you, and you all just need to be Mark 1s. So you go across like that. And then you go across like that. And then we have this one, which goes across like that. Now we just take this belt back around the entire setup. All the way around. And then into the heavy modular frame belt, which it just barely isn't long enough to reach. But there we go. And we already have that configured. So those will be going through in a minute. In the meantime, our nitrogen has pretty much made it all the way through, as has the aluminum casings. So now we just put the sink in and call it a day. So let's get the extra space. And that's going to be more than enough. Awesome sink. And a smart splitter. And in we go. Alright. So that is fused frames done once the heavy modular frames make it across. Which looks like they are making their way over. It's a nice sedate pace for a belt. Okay, while that goes, can I just take a quick scan around, look for any yellow? Did I see a yellow there, or did I just hallucinate that? I think I probably just hallucinated it. Yeah, this looks totally fine. In fact, it looks somewhat suspiciously more than fine. Why is this totally capped out? I may have made a mistake somewhere with the inputs to that. I guess we'll figure out later. All of this stuff also looks green. I do not see any yellow anywhere, including down here. So, yeah, alright, so everything looks good. We should be working properly. So, we have our fused frames going yet? Any heavy modular frames made it across? No, they are close though. They're about to make it into the splitter, and then the first ones will just go straight across that and get started. Obviously the ones out to the sides, like that one, are going to take a lot longer. Not to mention this one all the way over here, which is probably just gonna take ages. But we have the first couple starting up. So that is good news. Alright, so that is going strong. The casings have backlogged because of how much of a head start they had, which is not ideal. Guess we can fix that by just yoinking some of these guys and just continuing to run across and grab all the casings that are in here. Yes, I do not like backlogs. They are very ugly to look at. Alright, there we go. And I can just throw those away. We don't need them. Alright, so now we have a heavy modular frame or two, and the casings are running again and no longer backlogged. So that is that. These ones over here have already resupplied their ability to get casings, and still haven't gotten heavy modular frame yet. Although, there we go. So now those are running. This one will be following shortly. I did see a heavy modular frame on its dedicated belt. So there we go. Alright, this is going. You are still yellow for some reason. Oh, because I took the casings out of you more recently. That makes sense. Alright. So that is all set and ready to go. This is showing 12 per minute for some reason. I guess probably just because the bursts are far enough apart that it messes with the monitor. Yeah, so now it drops down to 7 while there's only one spike visible, but then it's going to go back up to 12 or so when the second spike shows up. Alright, so this throughput monitor is kind of useless. Kind of useless, but I don't know. Might as well have it there. Alright, so that's fused modular frames. One of the things which goes into the final production line. So the next thing we need are the cooling devices, which is another thing that goes into the final production line. So we need motors, heat sinks, and nitrogen. Motors are around here in this sort of central area somewhere. It's this line here. Heat sinks, I couldn't tell you. Probably pretty far below us, I think. I think they had like copper sheets going into them or something. So is this heat sinks over here? Yes, alright, so we have heat sinks here, we have motors just up there, and then we have nitrogen gas over by the nitrogen gas supply. So let's make our cooling devices. And we're going to have that be up on this level as well. This is where sort of, I guess, the level where all the immediate inputs are going to go. So let's build out some space here. We're going to need 6 blenders, so less space than these, but still quite a lot of space. And also, while we're doing that, let's fix that blueprint that we made for our blenders, because the current version is not very good. And that'll save even more space by being more compact. Alright, so Blueprint Designer placed. Load up this blueprint here. Alright, so basically there are 2 problems with this lining up properly. The first was this wall here. So we get rid of that. And the second was this pipe here. So we get rid of that, and instead you can just go out to like there. So now this is all functional, and we can save it and clear it and get rid of it. Alright, so now we just place this. And we want this to be lined up properly, so we can have it be there. That leaves a little bit of space in between them, which is nice. So we get that one. That's number 2. And number 3. Alright, so now we just get power lines across so I'm not constantly on the brink of falling out of the sky. There we go. And then we just have to run this floor out so that we have something to build all of the belts on. So off we go. And that should be enough of a floor. So now we go up to the machines themselves. And you are going to be doing cooling device alternate. And then we just copy paste that. And these are going at full speed, which is real convenient. And there we go. Alright, now we have to bring the other nitrogen pipe over, which, you know, could be a little more convenient if this had been 600 nitrogen gas per minute instead of 610 nitrogen gas per minute. But it is what it is. So this just goes along. Step 1, get it onto the foundation. Step 2, have it go all the way around with this other pipe. And what I can do to save a little bit of effort is I can have this sort of... Okay, I actually need this to go up a little bit. I left a dismantle crate over there also, which I should go pick up. But we just need this to go up to, like, there. And then that connects in. Then this can just go and... I guess we can just have it connect in there. And have valves to make sure that things go in the right direction. Because we don't want this flowing back that way. We want that flowing in this way. And this just supplementing it and also going along this way. So that valve should keep that in track. And now, this extra space will be enough for that to connect across and provide the nitrogen for the cooling systems. Alright, motors and heat sinks. Here are the motors over here. And if I recall correctly, oh, we had split these up into their 15s and 30s. So we had 45 here, this is 15, that one's 30. We need 15 for this recipe, so let's just grab this one. Alright, so that comes on over. There's no other intermediate floors. So that goes there and comes down. There you go, and there you go. This is left any center overflow. So that will get our motors going over this way. And then we just need to set up the splitters. Also, we need to get power into these last two. So these splitters are nice and easy. We just have 1 to 3s. There, and there, and there. And likewise over this side. We have there, there, and there. Alright, so The motors, I don't even know where the heat sinks are. I've lost track of them again. That they're these guys over here. So I didn't want to like send one of them up to a side that the other one would be more conveniently able to reach. Like this one can very easily come into the back entrance of that. So that's what we're going to do. We do, however, need to actually get them up first, which we can sneak onto this foundation as it goes across. How many heat sinks is this? This is 60. Alright, so you go up there. Left any, center overflow. There we go. So now you're going up. And pretty much straight up. Yeah, pretty much just straight up exactly to where they need to get to. Which is quite convenient. So let's go. This one goes up there. And there's a floor hole. Then we connect them across. And then we can just put this in. So you go forwards and into there. Alright. And that is all good. Then we just pop the motors in the other side. And then that will be that. So these come around and go a little bit there and then in. Alright. So that is heat sinks all set up. I just need to put the sink in. I do love sinking some sinks. Alright, so this goes around like that. Gives us some extra space. And then the heatsink goes in. The smart splitter goes in right in front of it. And then we have to remember to power the heatsink on. Very important. Alright, so that is cooling systems done. So the only thing left is we need to make 15 modular engines per minute. Then we need to import the other 10 modular engines and the 10 turbo motors. And then that will be that. And then we just have to make our final production line and be done with it. So for the modular engines, we need to make smart plating. So we need to go smart plating into modular engines and then into thermal propulsion rockets. We're going to almost certainly finish today unless something goes catastrophically wrong, which always has the possibility of happening. These guys haven't started yet. The heat sinks haven't quite made it. There they go. Just as I say that, that one has started. And the rest of these shouldn't be too terribly far behind, although these ones haven't gotten a single thing. You, like, connected up wrong, or is it just a delay? It's just a delay. Alright. Yeah, they only need, like, 1 and 4, so I guess once they get one heatsink, they're pretty nearly at the point where they're starting. Alright, so that is going. Smart plating is next. For smart plating, we need to grab 30 rotors and 30 reinforced iron plates. Alright, so the reinforced iron plates are over this way. I'm pretty sure this is them. Yes, and we even have that splitter set up properly. So we take 30 off of that in one of the overflow sides. Alright, this doesn't look good. This looks like it was backlogged a little bit. We'll have to go back and investigate that. It is... Oh, it's probably just because they come in big bursts. That's probably why. Is that... That's a Mark 1 sending 40 over that way. So, yeah, I guess, like, half of their output is not doing anything, so that would be causing problems. Alright, so we've got our reinforced iron plates here. The rotors... I don't know where rotors are made. So we have this line here, which goes to the motor production. Is this just all of the rotors on this line? Or has this been split? So we have 120 rotors on this line. Then 90 of them go to motors, 30 of them need to go to smart platings. So that... Alright, we just haven't done the split yet. That's fine. We can do that now. And it's actually very convenient because it means that I don't have to run another line all this long way. I can just grab the rotors off of this existing one. Alright, so this is a whole lot of rotors. And the reinforced iron plates are there. Alright, so this is just gonna be... I mean, they're right next to each other naturally, which is pretty cool. Let's go over sort of this general area here. And... Actually, the rotors and the reinforced iron plates are just already on good floors to do this. So I just need the open space, which should be over this way. So yeah, the rotors are going to have to skip over this line of iron plates. But other than that, this should be pretty clean. And then we also need like 20 billion rotors. We need 15 minimum assemblers, so we're going to go up to 16. Wait, actually, we have a blueprint that does it in 3s, so we can actually do this exactly. So that's convenient. We are, though, going to need a lot of space, because 15 assemblers is a lot of assemblers. So this should be enough space at this point. Probably. Alright, so let's go 3 assembler double floor. Have it oriented correctly. Get it aligned properly. Give it an extra foundation of space in front of it, just in case. We are going to need to do a fair amount of balancing here. So then we just have to place down a whole bunch of these guys. 3, 6, 9, 12, and then we can fit one more on this side, now that we've used all of the space in there. Alright, that is 15, which means we're going to have to do a 1 to 5 splitter to get into this, but that's fine. Let's get power over and get the recipes in. So all of these are powered on. Didn't run into any intersection problems down there. Nope, all good. Alright, so... Wait, these are just already set to rotors, but they need to be smart plating. Yeah, so those are now set to smart platings. And 100% speed, so we just go across. And just copy paste until we are done. Alright, so now these are all set to smart plating. now we just have to get the 1 to 5 splitter set up, which is just a 1 to 6 splitter with a loop back. So that will be this one here. So you go there, then you are going to be going out that way. And then we get the rest of these. So you go like that. And one more over here. You go like this. And I'm pretty sure the numbers are good. Like this is 30. Yeah, 30 of each, so no need for any speedy stuff. Just Mark 1 belts are good enough. Then we have one more splitter in this row, which goes there and goes over to here and then goes over to here. Then we have a merger, and that merger takes in the loop back and the main input line, which we need to limit to 30 a minute, which we can do quite easily. So we just get that set up. Then we get a splitter there, which takes 60 a minute. Actually, I need to make sure that that is left any center overflow. So this takes 60 a minute. 30 a minute goes back to whatever that other production is, motors. Then the other 30 goes into there. Alright. So that is that. Now we just need to do basically the same thing with the reinforced iron plates. So we get a 1 to 6 splitter with one of them being wrong. So these all go in like so. Then they all get their belts. There and there. This one goes there, and then loop back. We get our front row splitter there for 1 to 3. You go there, and over to there, and then over to here. Then we need a little bit more foundation here. Give you another, I guess, 2 rows, and we get a merger, which goes to there, and then all the way across to here where it takes in this. There we go, and then finally we just have to bring the reinforced iron plates from here over to there. Alright, so that goes like that. This belt then comes along, makes the turn, and goes in. Alright, and that should be smart plating. Alright, smart plating production, all good, and it connects up over this way. So let's get all of this together for a sink, because everything's got to have a sink, otherwise one thing breaking might cause other things to break. The more sinks there are, the more self-contained everything is. So you get a sink, and we are sending 30 smart platings right into that. Alright. So that is that. Then we need to make modular engines. So modular engines take our rubber, which we did ages ago, our smart plating, which we just did, and our motors, which are right over there. And then we combine them up in 15 manufacturers, which is a lot. It's no small number there. So let's find the rubber first. We need both sets of that. Okay, so I believe that would be this setup over this way. So we've got this 29-ish rubber, this 195-ish rubber, and let's just merge the two of them up since they're both going into this singular production line. So that foundation is going to come over this way and expand to cover this whole area. Alright, so now this smart splitter is center overflow right any. So this goes up, and I'm pretty sure that this is open space above it. I'd be kind of sad if it isn't. Yes, plenty of open space up there. So then we just combine these two guys up. So you get a smart splitter with center overflow right any, and actually Mark III belts are enough for this. It's like 230-ish rubber. So that goes around. And then these two are going to meet up. So that goes in there. That goes in there. And we have our 230 rubber all in one place. So now we just have to bring it up towards the top with the other stuff. So let's get it nudged over a little bit onto just a nice center of a foundation. Alright, and then so this is already like as high up as it gets in this vicinity of the factory. Now the modular engine stuff we're doing is manufacturers, so it's going to be on this row with the rest of these things. So I guess just bring this line over, and there we go. Then we get the floor hole in and bring that up. Alright, so that is rubber check. And let's just bring that belt out a little bit so that we can see that there's rubber on it. Smart plating is this stuff over here, right? Is that what this is? Yes, that is. Alright, so I think we want the smart plating to be... I mean, this area here, directly in this area, is actually a perfectly good spot. Like the spot that I'm right above of is a perfectly good spot to put our row of 15 manufacturers. Gonna be quite large. Nothing really we can do about that. I think it'll probably end up being 16 slightly underclocked manufacturers, just because of how our blueprints work. So So let's get the smart plating over into that area. Okay, it isn't getting any rotors. Why, after all this time, are there no rotors here? Oh, I never connected that up. Duh. Alright, there we go. So now that is connected up, and the whole system should be working again. Alright. Dumb mistakes like that sure do happen a lot. That's one of the reasons why I put sinks everywhere, because when I have a sink like that, it doesn't cause other backups, which means that each individual dumb mistake can be spotted, as opposed to being concealed by some other problem or something that hasn't been finished built yet. Alright, so this goes over this way. And then right about here is where we first have space for it to go up. So this is where we'll have it go up. And there we go. Smart plating, check. Did I set the... I did set the splitter. So that smart plating is going to be the first one to make the turn and go up. Alright, so we have that. Then we've got smart plating here, we've got rubber there, we just need motors. Wait, is that right? Modular engines are only 3 things? Modular engines. Yeah, so it's 3 things. We've got smart plating, we've got motors, and we've got rubber. So the motors are these ones over here. And I had preemptively split them, so we can take this belt of 30, set you to center overflow left any, and then bring this foundation out. Now we can put these guys right up here. And there we go. So now this just has to sort of go in this general direction as well. Like that. Alright, so we've got rubber there, we've got motors there, and we have smart plating there. So now in here, we should be able, hopefully, be able to fit 15. I guess we can just go off that way as much as we need to. We have space over there. So let's start filling this void in. Put some foundations across. And then see what happens from there. Alright, so we need a 3-input manufacturer blueprint, which I guess there's no reason not to just use the 4-input one, the supercomputers, and just use 3 of the inputs. I think it'll be cleaner. Slightly cleaner, at least. Who knows? I'm not 100% confident that the 3-input one, which is the regular computer one, actually works. So this can just go in. We can bring it right up to here. And then right up to the edge. And that is 2 supercomputers. 4, 6. Now we're missing iron plates. Lovely. Alright. That's annoying. I guess, how many do we have? We have 3 in, and we need 8 of these, because each one of them is 2. So yeah, we're less than halfway there, and we've already ran out of iron plates. Well, let's get the power Let's get the power connected up. That's something that we can always just do. And where is the nearest power line? Is that one down there? Yes, it is. Oh, wait, is this the one which does this? Oh, no, the recipes just haven't been selected, right? Right, alright, so modular engines, and this is 15 divided by 16, so slightly less than 1. And then we just paste those settings all the way across. Alright, so that is all that we can do for now, while we wait for iron plates to show up. I guess we can start building these splitters, because it's just a whole bunch of 1 to 2s. So let's finish filling in this floor. So this goes along like that. And then we're going to need a ton of space out this way as well. This only requires concrete, so we can just build that out while we're waiting. And let's be real, it's probably going to need at least another line. So that goes all the way along and is done. Alright, hopefully that'll be enough space. Then we can start setting up the first couple rows of this, which is actually going to take iron plates, so it's not even that helpful. Not even a very good way of waiting, but it's something that we can do at least. There we go. Alright, and then these have to wait for the next couple of rows to get placed before we can do that. Alright, iron plates, we have 670 some in our inventory. So that should be enough to get another 3 of these, right? Because we were able to place these 3 without stopping. So let's expand that out actually a little bit. And go back to placing. So this is number 4. This is number 5. Actually, the power really does not reach out here at all. And so then we go out this way to get in number 6. And 7. And then we just have to keep bringing the power along. We'll need 1 more. Alright, so we go out here. And, alright, just a couple more iron plates, and we can place that. Alright, so all of those buildings are in. Now we can start working on the balancing. So we've got the first one there, and we just need to do that for all of these, and probably iron plates will show up faster than we can use them manually like this. And if not, I mean, we'll just have to take brief pauses, but the amount of time that we have to spend flying should basically prevent that from being an issue. Alright, so then that goes out like there. Wait, no, this is... I guess this is fine. So we can have this one connect across to that one. It's not quite symmetrical. The last one is compressed in a little bit, but I think that just saves space anyways, so probably should have done that. Alright, so then we can go back, get the next row in. One of these, I don't know which, one of these is going to need to be faster because it's rubber, but I think even then it does need to be faster at this point. It'll be later on that that happens. Alright, so then we get these two. So these two go together. Okay, the rubber is physically literally right there. So I guess that makes the most sense to go into this floor. So let's figure out how many of these. This is 14 rubber per machine. So that means that this one is going to be like 28. This one is going to be... These two are going to be just less than 50. So past this is when the rubber needs to be faster. So we go Mark II there. Bring a Mark II all the way over this way. And then we send in the Mark III. Alright, so that is rubber. And it should be connected all the way in, unless I forgot a belt somewhere, which hopefully I haven't. Alright, next step is to go over here. And the motors are right here, so we can send them into this. Right, so I already did that first one. And then we have to do the second one. There we go. Put all of that in. Then we just go over here. And in the interest of space compression, we're going to go to this side. And one more. So you go there and there. Alright, so now we've got 4 of these things. We can put the splitters in there and there. And then the belts go there and then all the way down this way. There we go. Then we go to the other ones, do the same thing. So that needs a belt. All these can be Mark 1s. This belt goes all the way over here. And there. And then we just combine these last 2 up. There. And there. And then this one, it then wraps all the way around this way to meet up with the motor input. There we go. Guess let's fill that foundation in. Alright, motors, check. One more left to go. We have our smart plating. So let's get the splitters. That goes there and there. Then we have one more on this side. You go there and there. Then we have the other half. So we put these splitters in. And one more to go. Boom. Boom. Done. Alright, so now we just have to get the next couple rows, and then modular engines will be done. Alright, so then this goes all the way over here into there. Then we have this one, which makes the long journey over this way. And in there. Alright. One more tiny little row of splitters to do. And then we can send in the smart plating. There, and there. And then that just needs to go over that way a little bit so that it doesn't interact with the rubber too much. Then we just send the floor hole up and in there. Now we just take this and run it back to the smart plating belt, which is all the way over here. So we expand that foundation out and put the lift in. There we go. Then that goes across. And that is everything for this. So these are now, we just need to paste the settings to the last couple of ones that I built. So let's start there and just go paste, paste, paste. There we go. Almost there. Alright, settings pasted. And we have... oh, these last ones didn't get connected up to the power lines. There you go. Have fun with that. Have fun with your rubber. Alright, now we build our sink, which goes out like that, and then the sink goes in, as does the smart splitter. Alright, then we power the sink on, and that is all of the production up to our final row of manufacturers. So we have a little bit left to go, and then it's just making sure that everything actually works, which so far is looking pretty good. I see a whole lot of green, which is always a good sign. Alright. Do I see any yellow anywhere? No, it's all green. It's definitely going. And it looks like it's working properly too. So it's just these ones which have to wait for the motors and mostly smart plating to make it along the somewhat lengthy slow belts. I probably should just stop using Mark 1 belts ever and just like bottom out at Mark 2 or something just to prevent this from happening, but it's very satisfying. I personally just love the aesthetic of the slow belts. And that is going, it's almost there. And then in the meantime, I guess what we need to do is we need to import the rest of the stuff. So we need to import 10 modular engines per minute and 10 turbo motors per minute. So I guess we can do that. The modular engines we can just do over here. And then I guess since we're doing that over here, we may as well do the turbo motors over here as well. So let's grab some space. And it doesn't need to be that much, because it is just a couple of drone ports. They're big, but they're not huge. So that all goes in. And then we get drone ports. Not a blueprint, it is just an object that you build. Alright, so drone ports go in. I'm going to push them back a little bit. Alright, are these fueled from the other side? I simply cannot remember. I guess just to make sure... No, they're probably fueled from the other side. I guess we'll find out once this starts. So this is TPR mod engines. So I'm pretty sure I already set these up, right? Please say I already set these up. I might have not already set these up, in fact. Modular engines, no. ME, no. Okay. Well, I think I might have not set these up yet. I didn't see the turbo motor outputs either. So this is TPR turbo motor. And then if we search turbo motors, we have a whole lot of inputs, but not outputs. Alright, so we're going to have to go and set those up then. And in that case, we will set up a refueling port. I could have sworn I'd set these ports up. I guess I must have just confirmed that they were possible. It's kind of annoying. But it is what it is. So those all get their power. And then this is TPR refueler. And you get a drone. And you go to the rocket fuel source. And you get half a stack of rocket fuel. Then your output, which is here, somewhat annoyingly placed, but whatever, it goes out, gives plenty of space for these guys to do whatever they need to do, and then it goes into there. No, wrong, that's not the fuel input. That almost caused a mess. This is the fuel input, so you go into there, and you go into there. And I guess, congratulations, you can be a Mark II belt, just to make sure. I can't imagine these take 60 rocket fuel a minute, but just in case they do. Now that's all sorted out. Power, by the way, still nowhere near a problem. We might theoretically have problems when we start, like, doing nuclear pasta and then the phase 5 stuff, but for now, not going to be an issue. Alright. So, these are running now, the modular engines. And let's just get a throughput monitor on them, just so that we have one. I don't expect it to be a problem. Alright. So, let's figure out where are the things that we need to deal with. There's a dismantle crate over there randomly. Modular engines, I believe, are like these guys up there. And then turbo motors are those guys down there. Yeah, okay, so we're going to need to respawn here. Thank you, keep inventory. It is the coolest setting. Probably even better than mobs on passive, although they're both pretty great. Alright, so we need to head west. The turbo motors are close enough that I'm just going to walk. Unless I can hop on this train, which is conveniently going the right direction. It isn't. Alright, cool. Well, let's just go over this way. And do the old slide jump until we get to the turbo motor setup. And put a drone port in. Alright, is this still going? I see green. I see some yellow, actually. That's no good. What is your guys' problem? So you are output locked, which theoretically just shouldn't even be a thing that happens, because I should have sinks everywhere. But this might have been before I started doing that so thoroughly. Alright, where are you even going? You're going up to these guys, who are apparently short on... Why is it always encased industrial beams? Like, why can't the problem ever be anything other than encased industrial beams? Oh, this is the same one, the heavy modular frame factory, which is just next to the turbo motor factory. Yeah, so this is actually just the same one that's been having that problem for ages, and I apparently still have not managed to fix it. Well, today is not going to be the day for that, unfortunately. Today is the day that we are going to just ignore that and move on. And this is pressure conversion cubes to turbo pressure motors. And it looks like everything is working properly. Oh, nope, actually, I spoke too soon. What is your problem? Not enough packaged nitrogen gas. Alright, how are we short on that? I thought that would be like the least likely thing to be an issue. Alright, so we have this belt going over there. It does not look fully saturated. So unless I have a slow belt in here somewhere, that's not the problem. It goes all the way down to here. Alright, so you are 84% for no reason at all, and that looks like the same is true for all of these guys. They just sort of feel like being incompetent. So they have plenty of inputs and no outputs, and yet they're 84%. These ones make sense why they're lower, because they are conceivably output locked by these ones, but there is simply no reason for these ones to have problems. So that's 45 going across, that's fine. This is 60 going across, that should be fine. Yeah, okay, there is just simply no reason why these would have any problems. They're just being annoying to mess with me, it seems. Alright, I guess theoretically they might be output locked somehow. So let's just make those faster, and then maybe that'll do something. I don't know. I mean, they should be fine, right? They should be completely fine. The nitrogen seems to be abundant. Alright. I'm just going to assume that that is some weird thing that I don't need to fix, and it'll just resolve itself now that I'm in the area, and it's going to be recalculating more thoroughly. Instead, let's get all the way up here. I have a factory cart over here. What oh, that must be the factory cart down by the Christmas ski slope thing. Alright, so we've got this. We've got all of our turbo motors. Then, what I need us to have is just on here before all of that, we have another smart splitter, which is right any center overflow. And this is going to be the drone port. Now, I really wish I had built this in advance so that it could be properly saturated and everything, but apparently that's not happening. So it's going to mildly mess with some not very important things. It's not going to be an issue. It's just like 5% more annoying than it had to be. Alright, so that goes in. And that goes there. So the problem that's going to happen is that this is going to have to fill up this drone port, then fill up the drone port at the destination, and then start, and then once all of that buffering is done, then it can start filling the dimensional storage again as needed. So if we had this built beforehand, we would have only had to do half of that, which would have saved a lot of effort, but it's ultimately not a problem. And once it's going, then once it's going and solid, then that will be all good to go as well. Let's see here. I guess I could limit this on this side to be only 10 per minute, but then that would mess with me if I use these for anything else. Okay, they aren't used for anything else, so I guess that's fine. So all we need to do is a 1-to-6 splitter, merge most of them back. Alright, so we've got you. Alright. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. So we need to get that into there. And then one more. So wait, actually this is going to be a little bit convoluted just because of the spacing here. So one of these needs to be a 1-to-3, the other needs to be a 1-to-2. If this is the 1-to-2, then we can have that one wrap around like that. The rest of these can then merge up. I don't know what it thinks it's trying to do there. Could you just connect from that to that? Thank you. Then you connect from there to there. And then we have one more which goes back into there. And we might need to make some of these belts in here marginally faster. That one has to be Mark 1. So then we will have 10 going out that way, 50 coming back around this way, and then that should be all set. Now, is this actually working? No, we need to connect that across. So now that that's connected across, we have 60 here, we have 20, 20, and 20. Then we have 10 and 10. And then all the extras just loop back in and will eventually go to there to be sunk or fill the dimensional depot when I place whatever buildings it is that uses these. I think minor Mark 3s, for example. Alright, so that is set up and ready to go. I just have to give this the turbo motor source label. And then once we are back at the other factory, we can set that up to go. Now we need to respawn again to get up to the modular engines, which are to the northwest. I already have that set up pointing the right direction, so we switch to the jetpack. And off we go. So we just need to place a drone port on this. So this looks like the output over here. And it is working at 100%. That's cool. Back to hover pack. Okay, now this is a little bit less convenient in terms of just the spacing. Although, I'm pretty sure we're using all of this, right? Pretty sure we're using just 100% of the modular engine output Probably. So let's just get... Okay, how much of this is this powering, like, the entire freaking thing? Alright, let's just remove... Actually, this box is simply never going to need to be used. Because it... I mean, what am I going to use modular engines for? There's a space elevator part that I've already used. So we can just... We don't need that box anymore. We can just have this go off of it. So we just get some space over here. And we can feed the drone port from the box, which means it'll fill up nicely. Which will also mean that it's going to be harder to tell if this has enough output or not, but that'll be something to worry about. Probably just never going to be a problem because of how much is in this box. I guess in the long run we'd want to get this tickets from syncing this. Alright, so this is modular engine source. Alright, so that is that. And it's going. So this sync is no longer going to be doing much of anything. I could unlock the golden nut whenever I feel like it. I think I'll just do that at the end of the phase, probably. So we have the nuclear pasta as well. Alright, so modular engines are going. This is definitely going to be enough. So then we respawn again. And we head back off this way. So we go up and launch. Off we go towards our thermal propulsion rocket factory. So we just drop down through here. And now we're here. Alright. Right where we needed to be. And looks like the rocket fuel has been delivered. So now these can get those set up. Did I ever label this, by the way? Yes, I did. And this is the modular engines, which gets those. Now we just put drones in each. Boom, boom. And they are pre-fueled, so they are just good to go. Alright, there we go. Alright, I don't know why it's unable to ban user. There we go. Alright. So, this is all set up. And we're going to have modular engines there in a bit. This is showing somewhere in the vicinity of what we expect it to. I see yellows. Okay, I do see yellows. This is a smart plating shortage, apparently. Alright, so let's head over to the smart plating and see what's wrong there. It's not going to be belt speed because all the belt speed is 30 for that. So we get all the way over here. And yeah, so we see this one, for example, is not going. Oh, I never pasted the settings across to these last ones, I guess? Or is it just that one which didn't get them? Weird. Very weird. So all the rest of these are good, right? It was just one. I must have just missed one machine when I was copy-pasting. That's fine. So that's that problem solved. Just a minor hiccup, and this will all be going properly soon. Alright, then we just need to set up the final system, I guess, which will be on the top floor, so one above all of this. So let's just build a wall up a little bit. And then we can go and set this up. The reason it's going to be on the top floor is just so that it's easier to find for when we need to check if the whole system is working. Alright, so this is going to need quite a significant amount of space because it's 10 manufacturers. It's not going to be as many as that the modular engine part was, because that was 15, but it's still going to need a lot. So we're just going to expand this out as far that way as we can go. Oh, and our manufacturer production was limited by iron plates, so let's grab some of those so that they can fill up as we're doing this. Alright. That might be enough space. We might need to keep going a little further that way. But let's get the blueprints in and just get started with that. Actually, I'm not in take from inventory before depot. That's good. And I have, what, 600, 800 and some iron plates built up. So that's pretty close to how many, to a good amount. I mean, we're going to need to wait for iron plate resupplies, but we won't need to wait for that long, probably. Alright, let's leave a little bit of space on those sides, and then start getting these guys in. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, we're actually low on concrete now, which is a bit surprising since we haven't had that problem before in a long time. We must have cleared out some box somewhere, because I know we have lots of boxes of concrete that fill up over time and then deploy into the dimensional depot. So we must have emptied them and are now relying on actual production, which is going to be slower. Or it could be that we just went really fast and we had the iron plate production to not get stopped by that, so we just got stopped by the next thing. Alright, so we've got 10 of these, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2 is 10. Yes, so thermal propulsion rocket at 100% production rate. And now we just go across doing the old copy-paste. Alright. Settings pasted. Should be all clear. Alright. So now we need to just gather the stuff. So, have the modular engines even shown up yet? I hear a drone. That's the turbo motor drone has shown up. Oh, modular engines are here, as are turbo motors. Alright, so we should limit the modular engine output of the drone port so that we will know if we have a production problem there. So this is meant to be 10. So you go up over the rocket fuel and then back down as steep as you can. Then we have a merger and a splitter. Actually, this needs to be a smart merger. And another splitter. So this is a Mark 1 belt, so we're going to have 60 total. So that is going to look something like this, going back into there, this going forwards as our final output, and then these two merging up into there. So the priority are the sides, so we have 60 there, 20, 20, 20, 10, and 10. Yes, that all works. So now you can go in, and unless I've missed some belts somewhere, this should be all good to go. Yes, we do see modular engines going out that way, and that should be that. Alright. So then we have those, which can meet up with these modular engines to make for a total of 25 per minute. And that has to go in there. This is too close, so we're going to have to dismantle it and rebuild it. Alright, so that is all in. And that's modular engines. Then the turbo motors, obviously much more simple because we already went through the effort of speed limiting them at the source side. And also it doesn't matter because it wouldn't be hiding a problem with on-site turbo motor production because we don't have any of that. Alright, so then these two can then come together and go in to the inputs on this side of things. So let's get them over there so that they can be closer to where they need to go. So that will go over here, and then at the spot where it overlaps with this, we need two. So let's have them like that, and like that. Then these come down, and then these can go in. So they need to just sort of adjust over to the side a little bit. Like that. So now they're lined up to where they need to be. You go in there. You go in there. And so they're now in the approximate vicinity. We need to grab cooling systems and fused modular frames. Get them in the immediate vicinity. And then we can just attach everything in. So these are the cooling systems down here. Just directly beneath this whole thing. So they can just go up, I don't know, here-ish, I guess, is in line with where they need to be. So that goes there, belt goes across, and we say left any center overflow. Yeah, wait, I just remembered by that. Did I ever set this belt? No, I did not. So this is right any center overflow. Alright, so now those modular engines will be combining up with these ones. So that is progress there. And then we have our cooling systems, which are just about here. And then over here are the fused frames. So we go over here, we change their settings, and then we bring them up. Left any center overflow. And then we just have to get this foundation over. And then that lines up with just the edge of that. So this would go like there. And that comes down. I think I accidentally made that slope up a little bit. But that's fine. It can do that if it wants. It has to get up eventually anyways. Alright. Now we just have to bring this up to the top floor where it needs to go. So this can go all the way up to here. And like that. Alright, so now we have all this. We just need to put in the splitters and call it a day. So, in order to do that, we have the first one, because these are going to be 1 to 5s, so you go like that, and then loop back, which we will have to deal with in a minute. Then we get this one in there, and go across there, and one more. So you can go in here to save some horizontal space on the next row, and across to there. Now none of these are greater than Mark 1 belts, so we don't have to worry about that. We just have to worry about getting in all the splitters properly. So you go like that, and across to there, and then across all the way back over to here. This is going to be one heck of a indirect route for most of this. It's going to be going back and forth, which is a little bit weird, but that's the fun of a 1 to 5 splitter. So I mean, yeah, some of this is going to go all the way down there, then all the way back here, then all the way down there, and then all the way back here again, which is kind of insane, but whatever. Let's use some of those random conveyor holder things, support poles, just so that they're doing something instead of just being ugly and accomplishing nothing. Alright, so that is fused frames, all set up and ready to go. Next up, we need to do the cooling systems. So you go there and then loop back. And then we have this one, which goes in like that, across to there, and then this one, which goes from here and across to there. Let's get this foundation set up, because it definitely needs to exist. There we go, and go one more on that side as well. Alright, so that is the first row here. We just have to put in the 1 to 3, and then connect everything up. You go across all the way to there, and then all the way to there, which is fortunately a lot shorter. Then we put in our merger. Alright, something feels wrong about this. I wouldn't be surprised if I've made some mistake on this production line, but I think it's correct. I think it's correct, but my instincts are telling me something is wonky. So we'll have to see what happens with that. So you go back in. No, this should be fine. It should be all correct. Alright, so that is that. And that is that. So, cooling systems, check. Fused frames, check. Fused frames are already in the machines even. So now we just have to go over to these two. And do the same weird 1 to 5 setup. So you get 1. You get 1. And you get 1. Right. There we go. So we put all of those in. Put all of these belts in. And then these ones, which are just there, and then the loop back. Then, actually, let's just take the loop back around now, because we know we're going to have to, and we're heading in this direction anyways. So there we go, that's a good start. Now this goes like that, and all the way over here. So then we put the merger in. That goes in, and the proper input goes in. Alright, now this one, we take that out, because it is just going to go up to the next floor. So that goes up there, and comes out the top. Alright, so now we just have to get this all built. So we have that, we have that. We have the loop back, which is going to go around this way. And it's going to keep going around this way. A fair distance, I think. Because then we have this one, which goes in, and then those get placed. And we have this one, which goes into there. Then we have our 1 to 3, which is there and there. One more over this way. And then we take these two belts, bring them over this way, and merge them into this. So that goes in, and that goes in. Alright, that is, I believe, everything. We've got modular engines there, check. We've got fused frames there, check. We've got turbo motors here. I think I didn't connect that up. So let's do that. We've got cooling systems here. I also didn't connect that up. And then that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. So assuming I haven't missed any other belts, these should start getting stuff in them. They've already got a decent supply of fused frames, and in not too long they will have the other stuff as well. So let's get the sync and the dimensional depot up. Although actually, no, these don't do dimensional depots. These are a project part, so they just go straight to the space elevator. Yeah, so let's get that set up. So we have a smart splitter there, which that goes into. And you get a nice chunky foundation over here as well, because you need to feed a sink, which is overflow right any. And then over here we get drone port. So this goes in, gets fed from that, and gets powered on. The sink also gets powered on. So this drone port is TPR source. So now, when we go back to the space elevator, we can just hook it in to feed that, and then we'll be good to go. Alright, cooling systems have made it into here. Modular engines still have not. But it should be any second now that we start seeing these machines go. Unless, again, the modular engines are not connected in properly for some reason. Nope, I hear the noises of machines booting up. So these are every 2 minutes. This makes a batch of 2. For a total of 1 per minute, and across 10 of them, 10 per minute. Alright, that is pretty cool. So now we have that. I set this up correctly. I powered all of that on. Alright, I think we are now just at a point of waiting for this to go. And okay, the turbo motor supply looks like it was interrupted briefly, but that's fine, right? That's just how that works. So the modular engines are limited on this side to be 10 per minute. The turbo motors are limited at the other side, so the turbo motors are going to come in these big bursts. And I don't know I like that. So theoretically it should work. I don't think it would break things to have it like that. But I think I want it to be nice and stable. So let's just set up one of those things over here as well. And theoretically, this should like wind up having it be just perfectly timed with the drones coming and going, because the other side is also limited to that. Alright, so you go down into there. You go forwards. And it is just the same thing as we did there. So we have that. We have that. And we have that. So now we just have to connect basically everything up to everything. So that is connected up to there. This goes to those and back to there. This goes to there. And then forwards to that. Alright, so the next time... and then this needs to be set to outside priorities. Yeah, so the next time we get a supply of thermal propulsion rockets, they won't just all go through in a big burst. They'll be stuck here and slowly trickle out as they are needed. Assuming that we've done everything correctly, which I really hope that we have, that should be that. Alright, so these are currently not all going. We are short cooling systems. Alright, why are you guys not getting any cooling systems? And by any, I mean any. These are at 0%. That means that I must have just simply not hooked them in particular up. Yes, there's just a missing belt there. There we go. Problem solved. And then the rest of these guys were all going, right? Yeah, the rest of them were all going and probably receiving too many cooling systems. So then in 2 minutes, ish, these guys will be receiving their cooling systems and will be all set for 100% output. But we do already have, what, 9, 10, 11 of those in there, and another, probably another 10-ish on the belts. No, I see 6. Alright, so that is that. So this is all set up. once the cooling system's problem gets fixed, yeah, so now those do have some cooling systems showing up. Do I see any other yellow in the entire factory? Not at a glance, anyways. So we should be all clear. So assuming that there isn't any problems with the turbo motors or the modular engines, this should work out just fine. Alright, so I'm happy with that. Now let's get over to the space elevator and send these drone ports over there. So we're going to respawn, head over to the space elevator, which is off in a weird location. We need to swap to rocket jetpack, and off we go. So that's the space elevator over there by the starter base. While I'm over there, actually, I can see what's going on with my reinforced iron plate and regular iron plate dimensional depots, because I'm pretty sure this is where they are as well. I probably just need to, I don't know, either upgrade an input belt or something. Alright, so here are the iron plates, and this is a Mark III. So that is just like the fundamental limitation of that. We can't make that go any faster without adding another Mercer sphere on. Alright, so now we're over here at this. So we just need to add... Actually, hang on. This is that. That's that. This is the fuel in. Yeah, so we need another drone port here. And we just need it to go somewhere in there. Then we need to grab fuel off of said drone port and put it in, not like that, because that's going to clip a little bit. Much rather it be like that. Alright, so now this is going to be fueled. And what are these called? That's Space Elevator Refueler, that's Space Elevator ADS, this is Space Elevator MFG, this is Space, spell correctly, Elevator TPR. Alright, so now we power it on, which I guess means connecting it back to that guy. It's getting its fuel. So this is set to TPR source, and it gets a drone. There we go. So that is that, and now we just have to get this out and into the space elevator itself, which is more than a little bit scuffed, but we can manage. So this goes up and over all of that stuff, and then down into there. And then our last one, we'll have to use the other side, because this side only has 3 inputs, and we're using all of them now. So the nuclear pasta will have to yoink a fuel belt all the way like over here. Alright, so that is that. It's en route, and it's getting refueled, so that's all well and good. So now we just are going to respawn and head back on over to the turbo motor factory to make sure that it is still working. Or not the turbo motor, the thermal propulsion rocket factory. Because we've just booted up, I would not be at all surprised if there weren't some problems somewhere over here. But I think, assuming that there is nothing that we need to fix, I think that's going to be it for the stream pretty soon. We're going to make sure to do our checks, of course. Alright, I tried to swap back to hover pack mid-flight. Didn't quite work out. But these are all going. I see 100% across the board. And even the ones which were messed up seem to be fine now. That's these ones, I guess. Alright, so that all looks correct. And let's see, there was a dismantle crate over here which I wanted to grab, because if I don't grab it while I'm in this area, it'll just be floating around here being annoying for who knows how long. Alright, where are you? Apparently directly above it. There it is. There you are. Yoink. Alright. So, any problems anywhere in the factory? We've got a whole bunch of greens everywhere you look. It's just a giant sea of green. Alright, drop down to these floors. These are all going. Yeah, I think we've done it. I think we have managed to set up the factory completely successfully. And we're all good. Now, these look oversaturated of iron. But that's fine. I might come through at some point in the future and fix that. I'll do it now, actually. It's going to cause some ripple effects, though. It's going to cause some ripple effects. I'll actually just pull it off of the belts, maybe? So if I just yoink a good chunk of iron off of this, and that should cause all the iron to, all of those to start using their internal buffers just a little bit. And alright, there's one that still hasn't, so let's get rid of that. Alright, so now I don't know how you still, like, I looked at you twice and you were still just about putting the last couple iron ingots in. Alright, so now that I've done that, all of these should be burning down their iron buffers in order to keep running. And then it'll be a little bit before the iron makes it to them, and so then the belts should look correct. Actually, this doesn't look correct at all. I mean, maybe it's just... yeah, so it's just because it comes in waves. So then there are gaps that it then catches back up. Alright, that's fine. How much is this total? 70, 105, 210 on a 260 belt? Yeah, that'll probably do something like that if it's bursty enough. And then, so yeah, then these output belts here would be 105, 105 on 120s. So yeah, okay. That's all good. All good. Everything should be working out now. And I think that's it. I might poke around and find if there's any other spots that look like that. But I don't think there are going to be too many. Like, this plastic almost got to that point, but it hasn't. I mean, most of these belts seem like they're doing what I want. I think these are just because the steel pipes happen to be at exactly Mark III and Mark II belt speeds. So that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. I think pretty much everything just looks the way it's supposed to look. And that's that. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up the stream here. We have managed to do all of this, and the final outputs are all looking green. And it won't be too long before we have this sending the thermal propulsion rockets to the destination. And in fact, it's probably taken a stack out already, and it's just on the way. So yeah, that's that. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun with this factory. It's a bit different from my previous ones because it's down closer to ground level, although the sheer scale of it means that it sort of gets pretty far from ground level. But we just have one more project part to do for this entire phase, and that is nuclear pasta. So that one we're gonna have to just do in the desert. I think it's gonna take an absolutely preposterous amount of copper, and just doing that, there's no way we're gonna get the amount of copper we need for that like through the train system. We're gonna have to source it on site, and the desert is the best place for that. So that will be that. We're gonna get a whole bunch of copper together, a whole bunch of other stuff too, and then make some nuclear pasta and see how it goes. But that'll be next stream, which should be on Monday. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, and I play various factory building games alternating between Satisfactory and Factorio. In Factorio, we are starting up the Space Age DLC. Well, we're starting a new playthrough, which will include the Space Age DLC next time I play. So that is very exciting. And then in Satisfactory, we're going to be starting a brand new factory for the nuclear pasta stuff, so it's a pretty good week for finishing things, all considered. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out again. Had a lot of fun. I will see you on Monday for more Satisfactory.